This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It's Monday, June 14th. I'm Jeff here with Stephanie and Erica. Erica, what's going on? I mean, you know I'm going to bring it right. You knew I was going to bring it right in.
My fingers are stuck.
Wait, what?
Oh, now it's worse?
I tried to glue my nail back on because when I was getting in the car, I knocked it off. It was kind of gnarly, and then I spilled the glue all over my hand.
I know you're not going to understand the pain of it, Jeff, but when you rip your nail, especially if it's got a fake one on, the pain is real. Yeah. The pain is real, so I feel for her. And now she's got her fingers stuck together with super glue, which is even better.
Oh, it's super glue? Because I was going to say,
nail glue.
But is it the same? Because if you get super glue, like when I get it on my fingers, it's there for a couple days.
Yeah, it probably will be.
And now the tissue's stuck as well, bless her.
It's snowballing.
It's literally not going well.
All right, well, Erica deals with that. Did Blake Shelton put a ring on it for reals? Gwen Stefani was spotted with Blake and her son in Santa Monica over the weekend. She was wearing what appeared to be a diamond wedding band next to her massive engagement ring, sparking speculation that the two secretly tied the knot. And this might give this away. A day before, Gwen posted this pic holding a gift and drinking a glass of wine with the caption, "Getting married."
Oh.
So why are we speculating? Didn't she just kind of cop to it?
I think she's told us all we need to know.
Right.
So way back in the year, she said in April, last year, this year even, she said basically if she got married, she wanted it to be a really private affair. She only wanted her intimate friends and family. She said, it's not the Queen, I don't want a big show. And let's not forget, Blake's been married twice. This will be his third wife. She's been married before as well. So I think they wanted to keep it as private as possible. And also they've just been at his ranch, and which is where they said they were going to get married. So they've been there for the weekend and come back and she's wearing a ring,
Yeah, I think the pandemic...
getting married?
married?
I think the pandemic has allowed people to actually have a private life in a lot of ways. I mean, keep in mind, there were people who had no children and all of a sudden they have a full baby, you know, and no one knew about it.
Because it's a year and a half.
That's my sister. I've not seen her, and now there's just a 1-year-old almost running around, you know?
It's crazy. But, I mean, they've been together for a while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't really surprising or anything. Again, I think the speculation's over. I'm going to assume that they're married.
I think they're definitely married.
Safe? Is that safe to say? Okay. We're getting a first look at some behind-the-scenes shots from the new Sex and the City reboot. Sarah Jessica Parker posted this pic on Instagram with her co-stars Christina Davis and Cynthia Cynthia Nixon. She wrote, quote, "Together Again." Or Kristen Davis, I'm sorry. Read through. See, when someone corrects me, then I lose my place, and it's all downhill from here. Episodes alongside all the fellas and our newest cast members. SJP also posted this script from the first table read called And Just Like That. As we mentioned, Mr. Big, Chris Noth, Aiden, Jonathan Corbett, and David Eigenberg, who played Miranda's husband, Steve, they're all back for the reboot.
Well, I think Aiden looks good.
Are we excited about this? I feel like we're going to talk about this from now until the day it shoots, like the Friends reboot.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
bored.
it was such a huge part of pop culture. Last week, I did make a Sex and the City reference, which means that it's back in pop culture anytime you make a joke. So I had to write an op-ed, and I was against a deadline. And I was like, let me go Sarah Jessica Park my butt down and write this op-ed.
Nice.
First of all, I was super proud of that, and that's the reason why I repeated it. So if it wasn't, that funny,
No, I liked it. Me and Stephanie looked at each other. I was like, that was really good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. No, I'm so excited. I want us to talk about it till it comes out. I love Sarah Jessica Parker. I love that all of the cast, obviously apart from Kim's come back. So, who played
Kim Cattrall.
Samantha.
Right.
Yes, she played Samantha. So I think it's going to be amazing. And I think it's going to be interesting to see the storylines and the things that have happened to those characters, because sometimes you fall in love with them so much. And if there's no finale, there's no like final, people want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with Friends, you know, that was one of the most tuned in TV shows of all time.
You mean when it was airing? Or the reunion?
It's like literally the numbers were, I can't remember exactly now, but I read it online and the numbers were off the charts, like the biggest show that they've ever done.
And I really enjoyed that. I really liked the reboot. It brought back a lot of memories that I didn't even remember that I had. I'm like, wow, that was such a big part of my life without even knowing it, because it's in syndication, it's always on TV, and it kind of just gets stuck in your subconscious, you know?
It was a community too, because that was, you know, actual scheduled programming that we all watched at the same time. We all talked about it the next morning. You know, it's just, it's something that we don't necessarily do anymore.
No.
All right, well, speaking of scheduled programming, Demi Lovato has signed on to star in a new sitcom. Demi will play Valerie Bertinelli's daughter in a comedy for NBC called Hungry, about friends who belong to food issues groups. Demi plays Teddy, a food stylist who has a complicated relationship with food and men. Valerie plays a restaurant owner who has lost and gained 30 pounds over the years. Now, Demi has been open about struggling with an eating disorder in the past. So, I don't know, I'm kind of struggling to see, is this a comedy? Is this a serious story that's going on? I'm not sure what direction they're going to take this.
Well, I think whatever direction it goes, it's probably very cathartic for both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Valerie Bertinelli also was the subject of a lot of ridicule, body shaming. So this is a way for people to like really take ownership over their narrative that they've never had ownership over before.
So maybe it's going to be more of a drama than a comedy.
I mean, possibly. I think it's going to be interesting seeing actors who have actually suffered with those issues and problems playing those characters, because I think it's going to make it so much more lifelike, so much more relatable. And I think people that have got eating disorders will literally feel a lot more at ease watching that and feeling that they're not alone. And I think that we've seen this with other TV shows as well, where instead of, you know, for instance, myself playing that role, I've never experienced that, which as an actor, I think, you know, I'm not an actor, but if I was, I'm sure I would like the chance. But to have someone who actually lives and breathes that every day, it just becomes so much more real.
Yeah, but being labeled as a sitcom is where I'm kind of like struggling, and I'm not a writer, like you just said, you're not an actor. So I know they're going to work their way around it. But maybe highlighting some of these things in a funny way, the time we're in right now, that's got to be difficult waters to maneuver,
But
right?
if anyone's going to know, it's going to be the cast, right? Because like Demi is like called out, for instance, frozen yogurt companies when she's felt uncomfortable with their advertising and then whatever else. So I think they're going to be very sympathetic and very aware or woke as to what they're doing, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they pull that off. But you're right. I think having the characters relatable to, or the people themselves relatable to the characters, I think it's going to come through on screen for sure. All right, guys, coming up on DBL, Martin Sheen is here and opening up about his son, Emilio Estevez's brush with death. Did Lawrence Fishburne really save him? And Rob Riggle says his ex is spying on him in the middle of their divorce. We're talking about it next.
Closed captioning provided by
Liberty News.
Now that school's winding down, it's time for summer camp, right? Well, a serious shortage of counselors could leave some kids on the couch. Let's connect the dots. As summer vacation kicks into gear and coronavirus cases fall, a lot of kids and their parents are looking forward to summer camp. The child tax credit is also making camp affordable for more families. But like a lot of businesses, summer camps are having trouble getting enough workers. That's forcing some to limit admission or close altogether. While the camp counselor shortage is similar to other businesses and the staffing crunch, there's another COVID side effect. A lot of camps rely on foreign workers with temporary visas to staff everything from the arts and crafts cabin to the lifeguard chair. Because of travel restrictions and processing problems, those visas are tough to come by. In order to apply for the so-called J-1 visa, applicants have to show up in person at a U.S. embassy. Right now, some of those embassies are still closed or operating with limited hours because of the virus. Usually, more than 25,000 counselors get those visas for camp. Last year, it was just over 200. No word how many will get approved this year.
Welcome back to DBL. Actor Rob Riggle, should I say funny man, because he is funny, is accusing his ex-wife of spying on him. This story isn't so funny. The two are in the middle of a divorce. In court documents obtained by TMZ, Rob said his ex-wife hacked into his Apple account to get his email and text. He also accused her of taking $28,000 from an emergency fund and spying on him. So Rob said he and his girlfriend found a camera hidden in a smoke detector. He claimed one video showed his ex installing the camera while another showed her counting money on the floor.
What?
So this story, you know, when I look at Rob Riggle, I just laugh immediately. But this is not funny.
This is so not funny.
How would you feel if one of your exes hid cameras like in your old place and was spying on you?
Looking at Erica like,
That's mortifying almost, right?
That is
scary.
Such a cross of that is a major boundary crossing. Like, you gotta, if you're gonna break up, you gotta break up and move on.
Right?
Like, I mean, I understand with divorces and there's money involved and all of that. That's just taking it too far. It's like, you got a chance to live a whole new, better life. Just cut your losses and move on.
What I don't understand is, like, you could go to prison for that. Literally.
Can you?
Yes.
I don't know if that's illegal or not. What about putting like a camera in the teddy bear when you get a babysitter?
If you don't know that, there was a guy in England that was living with some of my college friends. This is obviously way back when, and he hid cameras in the bathroom, and he would record his housemates at university, and he would sell the footage online to different websites.
What?
And he went to prison.
Maybe if it's something, yeah, that's interesting. I'd like to talk to a lawyer. So what if you're recording in the living room and there's nothing scandalous about it?
I mean, I think it's different if you've got like a Ring camera or something, you know, you've got a home security setup and you both know it's there and it's pretty obvious. I think it's very different if you're doing it in secret and you're recording people without their knowledge. You've got to think, there's so many different laws and regulations, like for instance, phone calls. If you're in New York and you record a phone call that you have with someone, that's against the law. However, if you do that when you're in Colorado, it's not against the law. So I think it depends again on what state you're in.
Yeah.
Are you secretly a double agent from England?
I wish.
You know an awful lot about these rules and regulations and things.
I love it. He says that to me all the time.
Well, I mean, I think especially during the Monica Lewinsky, remember that whole thing, she was being recorded, and then it came down to like what state, if it was a felony or whatever.
It depends on so many different factors, like where you are. So, I mean, I don't know wherever he's at, wherever his home is. I don't know what the law is there, but, I mean, it's not worth going to prison for. I mean, geez, and also, we said this the other day, if you're going to the lengths of literally spying, spending thousands of dollars, I mean, it's clearly there is a problem.
It's obsession. Would you, I mean, we've all had that boyfriend or girlfriend that you kind of get that first crush over, heartbroken. Would this ever cross your mind to put cameras in and spy on?
No.
Lord, no. I am not that interested in anything or anybody to do that.
No, never.
How about this? Like, you have kids, and like I said, you put that camera in the eye of the babysitter. You gonna go through that footage and check it out and see what's going on?
I mean,
Unless there isn't a reason to let them know.
I think you're supposed to tell them, like a nanny cam.
I think you're meant to say.
But then if you tell them, you know what you should do is tell them, but then you really don't have a camera. Be like, listen, there's a couple cameras around here, just FYI, pizza's on the table.
Yeah, I think that's more like what people would say, like, just so you know, we've got the Ring camera or whatever, so just...
I've said that to you.
Yeah.
Like, because Steph has watched Spike and stayed at our house, and I'm like, just so you know, these are the interior cameras. Like, in the event that, like, she was...
Oh, you have interior ones, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I point them out because I don't want people to be in a situation where all
can
of a
you
sudden...
imagine, I'm like, I've got a bedroom at Erica's house. I've got a bedroom at Erica's house, and, like, if I stay, I'm just, like, running around, like, obviously... out the shower or whatever. Like, Erica's like, I don't want to see that. So.
Yeah. But how about for kids? Like, our babysitter came over. She's like 15 or 16, super sweet, nice girl. And she came over with her mom. And then she's like, oh, I got in trouble the other night. And I was like, oh, did you sneak into your house? It was something totally not, like, she's not that type of girl to do that. I'm like, you got to watch out with those rings. And her mom's like, no, she didn't sneak in the house. It was something else, like, totally innocent. But I was like, man, growing up now, like, there's no sneaking in and out with all these rings and alarms and things like that.
We always saw that in movies in England, like American movies. Like, I never ever did that. Like, is that because I'm boring, or is that just like an American thing? I don't know.
You never snuck out of the house?
No, never once.
You never, how about coming home late or something? Like, we had did you have curfews?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so...
Like, I had a curfew when I came back from college, and my dad tried to tell me I had to be home at 10 o'clock. I was like, Dad, it's 8. What is going on?
But now it's crazy with these things. You see everything. You know what I mean? Like, my wife is out there. She's like, oh, I saw you were messing with the flowers out front. She's like, how did you? Oh, you forget it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
very,
of course.
very big brothery.
Yeah, well, you're used to that. So you know how it goes down.
I also forget a lot about the cameras in both places. All right, guys, we have to give a big DBL shout out to this adorable Pekingese named Wasabi. He won Best in Show at this year's annual Westminster Dog Show. His breeder said they celebrated the big win. Wasabi got some filet mignon, and the breeder had some champagne. Wow. There is some other viral video from the dog show, so check this out. I already actually know what's coming. I don't know why I find it so funny. The trainer nearly fell on his fell on his dog during the agility course after he tripped just after the tunnel. But Ripple, the Boston Terrier, was agile enough to dodge his human trainer. Ripple went on to finish the course, but a border collie named Verb ended up winning. I love when people fall down. See, that's my reaction.
Like, what is this, the puppy bowl? Dude, you tackled your dog.
Oh my God. All I thought was, what a good dog, because he stopped to wait to proceed and check his owner was okay.
the agility course.
Oh, I think that's well cool.
Coming up on DBL, we're catching up with Martin Sheen, who stars in the perfect Father's Day movie, all about a football team of underdogs who show what winning is all about.
What our viewer wanted to know: can using sunscreen with benzene do more harm than good? For the answer, we went to Dr. Alyssa Daniel, a dermatologist with Novant Health, and Valisure, the consumer safety-focused company that detected that chemical in sunscreens.
The risk of benzene is that what we know is that it can lead to some cancers.
Valisure just released its report showing 27% of sunscreen sampled, essentially 78 products, had up to 3 times the FDA-restricted limits of benzene.
These are big name brand ones that lots of families are using. A lot of them, if you look at the list, are spray sunscreens.
Daniel says we can't scientifically verify whether benzene in that form is riskier than going without sunscreen, since that specifically hasn't been studied. But her bottom line advice is don't take the chance.
We have to assume that in any component in sunscreen where it should not be, that it could be considered unsafe, absolutely.
But she says the lesson here isn't to ditch the lotion. She suggests checking the Valisure list for products that were in the clear and sticking with those.
Welcome back to DBL. This past year has been tough for movie lovers, but now that theaters are open, this weekend 12 Mighty Orphans opens nationwide, starring Martin Sheen and Luke Wilson. And earlier, Tori and Al caught up with Martin and the director in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Martin Sheen and Ty Roberts, thank you so much for joining us on DBL. This is a real pleasure for us.
Hello, Al and Tori. Good to meet you.
Martin, you're in this film with your Apocalypse Now co-star Robert Duvall, and we'll get to that in just a bit. But I've got to ask about the story we heard about the Apocalypse Now shoot. When we talked to Lawrence Fishburne, he told us a story about how he saved your son Emilio Estevez from drowning.
What?
Is that true?
Yeah, it is. In fact, we didn't know about it until about 30 years later. Emilio never mentioned it. But yeah, it's true. I think Emilio was about 12 or 13 and Larry was 14. They became fast friends and they were out in a boat one day and the boat got stuck and Emilio got out of the boat to clear the area and he began to sink into the mud and he went under and Larry very quickly moved and pulled him on board. I called Lawrence and said, you know, thank you.
By the way,
appreciate you saving our son's life.
All right, now Ty, we hear so many stories about Hollywood and about the crazy things that happen on sets. We hear from actors, we hear from the crew, but we never hear from the director. So tell us right now, what's the craziest that ever happened to you while directing?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Well, in general, I would have to say on day one of a film I did called The Iron Orchard, we had a bunch of highway shoots out in West Texas, and a haboob came in. Yeah, it was a wall of sand followed by rain. And we were in a town that literally had a gas station and a church.
Martin, as things are slowly getting back to normal, what is it about this movie, 12 Mighty Orphans?
When are you going to stand up for these children and do what's right? Juanita, we have a chance to make a real difference here.
They're going to want you to win. Everybody's going to be behind a team with nothing.
That will make people, like our DBL Nation, see it on the big screen at a movie theater.
It couldn't come at a better time, opening around Father's Day, and it's a real family story, and it's a family movie, but it's a true story. The inspiration is one for the ages. A gang of orphaned kids from this little community in West Texas were brought together by this very caring mentor, Rusty Russell, and he formed a community out of these lads and created this cohesive team, and they all won their freedom. Nothing much was expected of them, so they didn't expect much of each other. And then he came into their midst and they began to realize that they could come to know themselves and win their freedom and be their true selves if they helped each other and they formed community. How much we can do together, how little we can do alone.
All right, now Ty, that leads me to my next question. Obviously, there's a powerhouse cast here. So as a director, which heavyweight actor made you the most nervous? Now, if you need to say Martin because he's right next to you, okay, we get it.
Martin was so generous in his process and thoughtful, and we really found our stride pretty quickly, I gotta say, and he was just a wonderful collaborator. You know, kind of the same with Luke too. You know, he kind of owned that Rusty Russell character and brought in a few ideas that immediately resonated with me. And you know, everybody had their nuances. It was just a really unique process for everybody.
Martin, I do want to say quickly, as President Bartlett, my family watched West Wing, of course, and my sister has panic attacks, and she watches you to calm down. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that you've saved my sister's life many a time, and I just wanted to get that out there.
Please thank her for me and tell her that that makes it all worthwhile.
Thank you, President Bartlett. Martin and Ty, thank you so much for coming on DBL. 12 Mighty Orphans premieres in theaters in Texas, June 11th and nationally on June 18th. Thanks again, gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
pointed out that these car warranty schemes are popular for a number of reasons. Number one, just about everyone has a car, so it's pretty believable. And number two, some of these calls are actually legitimate.
These vehicle warranty extensions can show up by mail or by phone.
We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty.
Well, it certainly is the #1 most reported robocall to the FCC. You know, people are sick of these calls.
You've probably wondered, why is the car warranty scheme so popular? Our sources are Alex Kalichi from UMail, a company that specializes in blocking robocalls, and Amy Knopfziger, Director of Fraud Victim Support for AARP.
A lot of times when you buy a car, you check a box or you sign something that says, you can call me or email me or text me with information about the car I purchased and related products.
Alex Kalichi explained sometimes your dealer will farm out those warranty calls to other companies.
The problem is there are other people just calling everybody in the hopes of finding somebody who needs what may be a legal product or may just be a scam. Some of these are just complete scams.
When someone calls telling you that your car is not covered and puts this fear in you, we listen.
That fear, combined with legitimate calls about car warranties, makes it a perfect scam opportunity.
It's just kind of a chance. Most of us do own a vehicle, right? And so the criminals can blast out billions of these calls every year.
So if you're not already doing it, our experts say don't answer the call, certainly don't click, just hang up when you hear
your car's extended warranty
on the other end.
So why can't we just block them? It's the same reason you can't block all robocalls. Because some are legitimate, the government as well as the phone companies can't just blanket block all robocalls. What we'll need is advances in technology to sort out the good calls from the scam calls. With your Verify, I'm Matt Gregory.
Welcome back to DBL. Erica, you have some comments and any update on the sticky fingers?
Yeah. My sticky finger's almost done. But spying on X, Vonda said I had a GPS thing attached to my ex's car and caught him stepping out on me.
A low jack.
I've heard of people doing that thing on cars, but most people do it so that if their car gets stolen, they can track it on their phone, not to spy.
Stephanie has one in her 008 briefcase over there.
Oh yeah, just watch out. No, I'm joking.
All right, guys, DBL is new every day. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great Monday, guys.